Still be Uzi in the AD carry chair of BLG, but this time around IG back onto the blue. So now do they want to try and maybe get themselves the early Hecarim priority? It did feel like Shun was a little bit more muted in those very early stages and didn't have the exact same amount of impact that maybe he was hoping for.
Yeah, they are back on the side they won on, though. They have kept their bans the same so far. BLG have changed it up a little bit from Game 1. Game 1, they did take away the Renekton as well. That one's still being left open. Now with IG taking away the Victor, as always, on Zeri watch. Now with Uzi being in, do you still feel like you need to respect the power of that champion? Especially as we saw from Blibili early in the day, with it being such a potent flex pick.
Very potent flex pick. We'll see what the last ban is going to be from BLG. They got a bit of time. Maybe they give over the Jinx over to On, but no, they're going to ban away the Renekton. So not getting that one out through their fingers. And now IG, you've got yourself an opportunity here to maybe go for the Jinx or the Zeri, and they go for the flex.
Now as BLG, I think you could go for something like a Jinx Corki setup. I think Corki has looked like, you know, one of Fofo's most competent champions coming out, but no, they're actually paying a lot of respect to the impact that Shun had in Game 1. And if you missed Game 1, Shun completely popped off on this Hecarim and was deleting Doggo every time he saw him.
Really was oppressive. Nothing Doggo could do, but this time around is going to be way maybe looking for On as IG now look to see what they want to go with. Looks like Shun going to say, look, okay, you've got the Hecarim. I'm going to take on the Spearman as Xin Zhao has been locked in here. So now IG, you got an opportunity here. Do you look to try and maybe lock in a top laner, force something into BLG, or go for your support?
Yeah, you know, obviously Gwen always jumps out to mind. Again, just the best blind pickable top laner here is technically a flex. Wouldn't be for them since they've already picked up the Xin Zhao as well. I would expect this one to be locked in. Now for BLG, they usually like to give Breathe good matchups. So we do still have things like the Kennen left open, which we've been seeing a ton of lately if you want to play for those 5v5s and go into the Gwen.
We shall see. Last pick going to be coming in here for the BLG. Do you want to try to get something for Breathe, or do you lock in your more favored bot lane matchup or mid lane? So this could be a lock in. Yes, Fofo. So they've actually kind of said, look, we're happy if that Zeri is a flex. We're just going to make sure that you can't ban away things that would be able to survive it.
So Fofo has played 5 games of Orianna this season. 100% win rate, 26.5 KDA.
Ooh. That's a hell of a lot of damage.
Yeah, you have the ball delivery set up. I feel like the reason maybe why they didn't follow my idea of picking Kennen here is like, hey, there are still 3 common counter picks to the Gwen, all left open. The Jace, Kennen, and the Jax. Now Jace being banned away by the side of IG. I think for BLG, though, you are wanting to index more into those straight-up 5v5s from the fact that you do have the Hecarim Orianna combo coming out. You expect Handshake tank supports coming out again. I guess BLG technically could go towards an Enchanter for the fact that they do have the Hecarim, which can do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of both engage and, you know, just being able to absorb all the damage.
See what they want to go for. I like the Galio, as you said, just able to absorb all those damages, and it also just gives you an extra little bit of roaming kind of setup. You do get the pretty much Galio delivery system with something like the Gwen or the Xin Zhao jumping into the backside. And now BLG, where do you want to take this? You can still take the Thresh if you wanted to, but no, they're going to leave their counter pick for support. They want to know exactly what IG are throwing into this bot side. And I actually really like the Kennen here. We saw it earlier today for our first series, and it was just going so much into counter what the Gwen wanted to do.
And that's why, I mean, right, I expected this to be picked on 3. I'm kind of surprised IG went with 2 other bans rather than this one. Like, again, both Jace and Jax play into the Gwen, but they fulfill very different roles. And BLG's first 3 picks definitely sets up for the full-on 5v5. Now, for IG, gonna lock in the Nautilus, give them some single-target lockdown. Again, try and get on top of Uzi or Fofo, or even if Breathe is coming with a flank from behind, that ultimate can get a ton of value coming out from there. Now for Uakai, does decide to lock in the Akali. This will be his first Akali game this split. Still, though, Uakai has been phenomenal on Assassins. LeBlanc definitely Uakai's best champion.
Now we see where everything ends up kind of going at the end for BLG. I really do love the Thresh. I do think it is probably the best thing for something like a Jinx. It gives you so much priority, and not just a Jinx as well. If you find your other laners like the Kennen or the Hecarim going too far forward, you got the Dark Passage to keep you out. Covers a lot of what you want to do, and also with a team comp like you have on IG, which are going to be on your face pretty much 24/7, it is great to have the box and the flay to get them off of your carries.
And I think even just looking at early game, right? BLG have some strong setups. Like, again, once the Kennen is able to just take advantage of his range, we'll be able to just guarantee pry open topside like we saw earlier until Gwen does get some levels under her belt and can start trying for that all in. You have a range versus melee matchup in mid, so should be another early prio lane there. So you have early pressure coming out from the side of BLG. You have a composition that scales up phenomenally and does well in those 5v5s. With Kennen, we hit on this earlier in the day that if you are facing a heavy dive composition, you don't always need to look for those flanks or look for those engages. You can just stand next to your AD carry and mid laner, pop the Slicing Maelstrom once they come in and lock down numerous targets. So I think BLG have a very standard composition that has a lot of facets to playing the game, to where IG, it's going to be about aggression, it's going to be about going in.
Yeah, I think that's the very, very obvious and kind of simple terms to kind of say how this team work or how this team comp will work. We've come to an end of a very, very long day as BLG fought themselves pretty damn hard towards the end of that game to give themselves an opportunity. But then again, it is only just that. You still need to give yourself what you need in this game to make it work out. And for IG, they were so tantalizingly close. They could have tasted the 2-0, but they're not out of it just yet. And I think from looking at both of these teams so far this series, I feel like IG are still going to be keeping their chins up high.
Yeah, for IG, they definitely have some tools to work with, and we've seen once it goes into mid-game, BLG are a pretty messy team. They give a lot of opportunities. They are willing to overcommit for picks that will open up for scenarios where Uakai can try and find his way onto Uzi or Fofo and look to delete them.
Well, we're going to jump onto the Rift for the third and final time of this series, the sixth time today. Both series going the full distance. We've had absolute bangers all day long. It's been a fantastic day of League of Legends, and what a great way to end it, then with a death brush.
IG on just trying to be a little bit cheeky and see if he can bait them out. They aren't going to fall for it, though. On the opposite side, BLG were actually kind of posturing for a play top, as we saw Chris go up there. Does get a ward down and now switches over to his lens. Pretty standard rune starts across the board coming out. Again, I expect BLG to maybe be a little bit more on their front foot coming into the early game in terms of laning phases, but Shun is on the Xin Zhao, so can look to maybe have a bit more of an impact than Weiwei.
Now, wait to see where they want to try and say Shun thinking about going towards that top side, but mainly just sweeping out to make sure they don't know where he is. And we've talked about it a couple of times throughout this series. The information of where either of these junglers are starting, specifically Shun, has been pivotal to the early games of both these sides. So I like the adaptation coming out here from Shun, saying, look, the earlier I can get the way from the information, the better. But sadly for him, they know he's going to be on the red side of the jungle. They know he's going to be pathing up towards that top side. So BLG still getting the information that they want.
Yeah, nice warning coming out from Breathe in the end there. Both junglers, like you said, making their way up towards the top side. Let's see if they can find any opportunities. Fofo doing a great job of zoning out Uakai in this mid lane. Let's remember, Uakai is a rookie. IG squad overall being very young. The fact that they are able to put up a fight against teams like BLG that are essentially star-studded super teams, top players across their roles in different, LPL splits here for Blibili Gaming.
And let's have a look at exactly where you want to see those two junglers start. Again, we know Shun can be aggressive, and there are plenty of lanes for him to work around. But in terms of Weiwei, do you want to see him looking to try and make some early, damage work? Do you want to see him making something work? Or you think he's happy to just farm this up, maybe look around those neutral objectives?
Oh, I think for BLG, you have way less pressure to make something happen. Is Chris going to get chunked out pretty good coming out from the hook from Lucas. But for BLG, early game, you aren't too pressured to find anything. Like I said, you're just going to outright win these laning phases, as you can see in both top and mid right now. So it's going to be up to Shun, who's going to look for this aggressive invade. Needs to be careful of Breathe or Fofo potentially being able to collapse. But no,
Breathe might be a little bit... Yeah, Breathe is trying to push away this cannon minion, as he's now going to get caught out by Shun. Should be fine, as he has got his flash available to him, and a lightning rush as well, so pops down the stun, flashes away, because recognized with that knock-up, that could have been Zika going in fully, as Zika had popped the ghost.
Yeah, really nice from Shun as well to proc the first hit of his Q on the minions to get closer to the third hit for the knockup. So overall, nice setup. Does force out the flash from Breathe, and then we pan back over to mid lane. Fofo, no mana, does still have one corrupting potion as well as a biscuit up, so can continue to maintain this pressure. Wave right now pushing into Fofo as well, so they have to be careful of what Weiwei could do.
Shun needs to be very careful here. He's a level down because it was a full clear coming out from Weiwei versus just half a clear from the side of Shun. So the IG jungler not quite able to go toe-to-toe just yet. And with this pressure they've now garnered for themselves in this top side, bot lane's able to push in, saying, look, we know where Shun is, and we're going to be able to give Uzi a nice little scuttle.
And it just goes to the fact that Right Shun looked for that early gank on top side to where Weiwei did commit the full clear. We saw this earlier in the day. Anyone's Legend being punished for trying so hard to find early action, not being able to get anything meaningful. And then Tarzan on the receiving end punishing AL. So looks like Shun getting a little bit of the same treatment here from BLG.
And we wait to see. Yukai needs to be a bit careful there. The extra auto attack damage you will get onto someone like the Akali, from the Orianna onto the Akali can be a bit of a crazy amount of scaling, as we do see Shun finally getting his camps. And you might think that, you know, Weiwei wasted a lot of time here. His camps were down, so he didn't actually waste anything. He was just being a nuisance to say, look, I'm going to delay you because I'm due a reset regardless.
Yeah, and he also had to go for it at that time, right? Because Zika had finally gotten off his back, TP'd up the top lane. Potentially would have been able to follow up on full HP had Weiwei committed for any over-aggressive plays. But I'm not too surprised that we see the early game pan out this way, where it's like, okay, Shun has attempted a few aggressive plays. BLG are the ones fine, just, you know, full clearing with their Hecarim and waiting for probably the 8-minute mark where we are going to see the Herald come up. And the fact that you do have this push in top and mid means to me that BLG might be the ones looking for that objective.
We shall see, as we see now both junglers trying to be a bit aggressive. I will say Shun will get a little extra time with his blue buff as he tries to make a repeat gank onto Breathe in this top side. And this is turning out to be a pretty fruitful lane for the IG jungle and top setup, as they've come here many, many times throughout this series. I feel like Breathe should probably know that something's open. Yeah, you can see that he senses something because he's just backing himself away, saying, look, I don't have my jungler around. I need to just try and throw out those Qs, making sure that I can keep up in CS, but I'm not overextending.
Yeah, is going to go for that. Also, just IG sticking true to their formula so far, playing around Zika. Another rookie coming up for the side of IG, formerly known as Zaza, spending a little bit of time in the LDL, but now we're going to hop over to the bot lane. Weiwei hoping to find something. Does have Ghost.
Does have Ghost and has found himself in the tri-brush as well. Crisp throws out the hook, not quite able to land it onto On, as they will end up passing themselves away. So there's going to be pressure in the bot side, pressure in the mid lane. That's equals a dragon for BLG. And we've seen it a couple of times now. The early dragons going in favor of the team who takes the win tends to be a bit of a trend because it does give you that little bit of an extra win condition, that little bit of an extra timer, and plus the nice little bit of extra stats that are always just good to have. As I say, that Crisp and the hook back on top of him as the supports end up going right on top of each other. Lucas needs to back himself away, but now Weiwei right on top of these players as Shun goes down. 2 quick kills to BLG. Uzi flashed forward. Excuse me, he didn't flash over. He used the Dark Passage as Yukai now in a little bit of trouble. Went a bit too deep there with the Shuriken flip. And that's going to be enough there for BLG. They should be able to start back up this dragon, but great capitalization there from BLG.
Yeah, great turn coming out from them. Both Lucas and Crisp looking for the same opportunity. No dragon could be able to come out for the side of BLG. They do pick up 2 kills as well as that Scuddler. Fofo also going to take his blue nice and happily. And now with the fact that your bot lane's already had the advantage, right? We can see Uzi does have a CS advantage. Mid has been pushing. I think it should be a very easy pivot for BLG. But here it goes. Hooks land on both sides. Weiwei, though, getting straight into the back line. Lucas taken low. And Weiwei able to finish him up with that Q, stacking up the stack split to Rampage. Uzi also just able to follow up. Yukai, not able to do anything, just has to watch his teammates cry.
I will say, not that he didn't do anything crisp, but a very crisp flash. Very, very prominent in that. And that's already a 2-kill lead now over the side of BLG. They didn't quite get the dragon, so we might see a repeat going here as Uzi is going to be able to push in that bot side. Breathe has got pressure in the top lane, and No teleports for either of these top laners means that I feel like BLG should be able to pick up this objective, no questions asked.
Yeah, and, you know, taking a look over at items for a little bit, we actually see Fofo paying a lot of respect, picking up the Verdant Barrier first item. You know, you do have double AP on the opposite side. Zeri also having a decent bit of magic damage in her kit as well, so I like the defensive start coming out from Fofo. And we already hit on right for the side of BLG. I feel like as a jungler is way here, where all your lanes are just kind of naturally having push and winning. It feels so easy to be able to take away all these free objectives. Is going to make his way up towards the top side. Does open up for a potential dragon coming out for IG.
Yeah, they are trading for the side of BLG. They're saying, look, you can take the scaling buff, we will take the power now. We want the gold. We want to be able to get accelerated into this game. It did go pretty well for them in game 2 until a point where it wasn't. And that's where they got to be a little bit more careful. Again, AD carries and mid laners both very powerful. Gwen is in the game. You've got a lot of damage throughout both these teams. It's going to be curious to see what they can do. But it is a bit of a trade-off on the side of the map because actually Weiwei resets. So they're just losing out basically on this. And Yukai's here as well.
Yeah, they want to come and answer the potential dive coming out by bringing Weiwei over. No TP for any of the soul laners. Breeds would be just about to come up if any action happened now, but still successful play for IG, right? They are able to get Dragon. They are able to zone Uzi and Crisp off a bit of the wave. Sadly, though, Uzi's still up. You see the mid lane, Fofo now up 24 CS. Actually, up CS across all lanes for the side of BLG.
Yeah, really doing well, and this is where it gets a bit more easier for BLG. You get your item spikes first, and of course you pick up the first mythic. It means that you're able to do so much more on the map when that second dragon spawns, so that's probably what they want to go for here. Lucas now has his ultimate, so Uzi's got to be very careful, and Crisp using his Dark Passage to check that is a bit of a risky factor because that's down now for a couple of seconds. So if there was an opportunity here for IG, it would have been just there, but sadly for them, they're going to have to just wait and see when the next one presents itself.
And now this game looks a lot more characteristic of the BLG games we've seen all season long, right? In terms of like, okay, ending up with the strong lane matchups, kind of playing more for yourself. Sure, there's been a bit of link up as we saw in the bot lane skirmish, but they definitely do like to play for these extended laning phases. Haven't really broken down too many plates in any lane. They do have one in topside, so I'm curious to see where Weiwei will decide to use this Herald. You would assume with Uzi on the Rift, they'd want to throw it down towards that bottom side. And luckily for the fact that IG don't have the greatest wave clear, I don't think mid is too much of a problem. You know, with the amount of like Jinxes, Victors, and Corkis in the game right now, it could be beneficial to always break down mid lane because it is very hard to get past the wave clear. You are against Zeri and Akali, so for BLG, that will not be a problem later on.
No, will not. But then looking at the other side as well, we're talking a lot about BLG. They are the ones being a little bit more proactive. Again, we talk about the 2,000 gold lead. But for IG, it's not doom and gloom. They still have the don't touch this composition between the Gwen and the Xin Zhao. They can get onto the back line. And straight up, we saw in the last game with the Nautilus, the Gwen, and the Xin Zhao jumping onto the back line, be it onto Fofo, Uzi, or anyone else. They are able to just stick on you like glue. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities here for this side to really just make this life difficult for BLG.
I like that you use the word opportunities because I feel like, you know, that's what it will have to be. BLG were playing quite greedy and non-risk averse in game 1. Exactly. They're playing fast and loose. They were giving a lot of those windows and those flank opportunities to the side of IG. Now Weiwei is going to look for this plan bot side. Again, I think he does want to drop Herald some gold onto Daddy Uzi.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he's able to make it work. Zika in a little bit of trouble here as Breed's just going to try and chase him down. Should be able to get some more harassment off as we get us a little skip and a snip. And that should be enough there. It actually looks like it's going to be mid lane because straight up, you just don't have the pressure there as IG have answered very nicely to just say, look, we know you want to try to put these plates onto Uzi. We're not going to allow you to accelerate him ahead of the Zeri, so you're going to have to pick a different lane, buddy, and that lane shall be Fofo.
Yeah, and I mean, right, they're not going to get this one down, but still getting a lot of gold onto the Orianna, getting gold onto the MVP of last game, 40% of damage. If they do end up breaking down mid lane turret anytime soon, Yokai answering waves close to tier 2 tower. BLG will have so much control in enemy jungle as we see them doing now. Complete vision everywhere. Fofo can move first.
Fofo can move first, but Yukai, not to be outdone, will make his way over as well. Weiwei smites that one away. The hook comes out, lands on the Lucas. There is the onslaught of shadows. A Shun jumps straight in on top of Fofo. We can see them now trying to just kite this one now. They are going to get on straight away onto Weiwei as they try and get everyone else out. It's a good shockwave, though, as Chris does end up falling down. They eventually take down the Zeri, but not before she gets 2 kills. Uzi bites away from the dredge line and ends up being a 3-for-1 trade in favor of IG. Very good punish of over-aggression.
Yeah, great job coming out from the side of IG. Uzi not able to hit the zap in the end to maybe pick up one more kill. And now for IG not losing out too much in terms of that jungle invade that comes through. They pick up the gold, and now they're not too far behind, right? Sitting only about 1k gold. We get some backs, we get some mythics. We're gonna go straight into the replay. I think specifically Shun plays this very well. We see the Hecarim trying to commit for the engage, but Shun distracts the backline, instantly going on top of Fofo, and now making it so the members of BLG are pincered. Nice job by On to follow up with the continuous damage. Does E in, but Fofo with a really nice shockwave. And then here it's like, okay, IG have man advantage. You're gonna be able to finish one off. The key thing here is watch Uzi zap bam, not able to finish off Yukai. And IG come out smiling.
They come out smiling, and that's 2 kills onto the Zeri. That's big, big numbers, and already has the Triforce. So now On about 800 gold ahead of his opposite number is going to be feeling pretty good. And we've seen in previous games today of just how good this Zeri pick can be. We saw it with Doombeam, we saw it with Light as LNG took down the 2-1 victory. And this is where this game gets a little bit out of hand for BLG, because you use a lot in that skirmish, which means you can't contest against this dragon.
Yeah, IG stacking up dragons again was their way to win in game 1, putting the pressure on BLG still, though. BLG do have the gold lead, so it's not like it is a dire situation for them. They are in Orianna Jinx composition. They have frontline. They have a ton of AoE damage. We still haven't seen Breathe able to get involved in the fights in the impact that Slicing Maelstrom will have. Right now, though, Lucas has pivoted up towards the top side of the map, and IG looks like they're the ones who want to take the Rift Herald this time around.
Have pivoted. They will get themselves a dragon and a Rift Herald, as they end up losing basically nothing across that trade. We have a quick look at the items that are coming out now for every single side. You've got the Gourd Drinker here for Shun, who's on your screen. Triforce we've already mentioned, but also a Hextech Rocket Belt here for Yukai. So already at a decent power spike, and if he didn't have enough dashes, he definitely does now. So, and on the opposite side of that, you do have the Rocket Belt as well for Breathe, and then the Turbo Chem Tank for Weiwei. So again, big moments here. There's a good hook as Crisp not quite able to commit to that one. Good guy minion. That's what we call that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Uzi Zap's just not able to connect in these first 2 games of his LPL split. Now, though, Shun with the Rift Herald. Again, in my opinion, for IG, I think it is definitely worthwhile to try and find a scenario where you can rotate.
Zika needs to be so careful when taking these trades. He's not even going to get the healing back off of his ultimate, so very much an unfavorable trade there for Zika, and this is a big moment here for BLG. You're putting the Gwen down, you're getting priority in that top side, and Breed's still able to keep his teleport, means that he should be able to try and jump into a team fight later on.
Yeah, so we're going to see if BLG will be able to use that kind of advantage. Obviously, we're past 14 minutes, so teleports are unleashed. You can look to make these plays, but the point I was going to go towards before, right, is the fact that for IG, since it can be much harder to break down mid lane turret without Herald, it'd be nice to see them, you know, utilize Yukai's push right now, maybe try and rotate 4 members over and drop that one down. Because Uzi right now, just clearing these waves.
Uzi doing Uzi things. His top lane was being pushed in. Bot lane answered, though, by IG, so it should just be a trade of turrets as Shun is hovering towards the spot side, and you can see the junglers basically mirroring each other on either side of the rift, taking away those camps. Now, Fofo's going to be the one to try and maybe just deal with this one here. It is a trade of turrets. Got a 1,500 gold lead in favor of BLG. Finally, the Gale Force has been finished up by Uzi, so he's in a little bit of an extra safety, but does mean he doesn't have the Kraken Slayer, does mean that he's not able to get as much damage down early as he possibly would like. And now, IG, maybe trying to see if they can get something else out of this one here. They're just Shun by himself, so he needs to get himself the hell out of dodge and recognize that's not his jungle.
Look, I just want to see IG punish Uzi. You know, earlier in our AL LNG segment, oh wait, I'll pause. I think Zeke is just dead.
I think
Ghost coming out for Weiwei.
He's got Ghost as well. So we're going to see the Onslaught of Shadows come in and come straight on top of him. They are going to commit the TP, though, and that's going to be a bit of a late one there coming in as Yukai finally joins in, goes into the Shroud. The Shockwave, though, to try and bring him back out of it. He will trade back. 1, 2, fantastic turnaround there from Yukai. Able to pick up the double kill, and you get so much out of BLG.
Yep. 2, 0, and 3 on the Sakali now. Gonna be able to start picking up some items, doing some real damage onto this immobile backline. Now IG going with the play that we highlighted earlier, trying to rotate over to drop this Herald mid since it will be such a nuisance to clear later on. Fofo looking for the solo kill.
He wants revenge. He just wanted to try and get it all done for him. You know exactly where he is. As Yukai goes in, flashes in, does not land the shuriken flip, but goes back away. Yukai, that was gorgeous.
Dodges out, goes in the Shroud, comes in. Wait, can Uzi do it?
No, not quite, not quite.
My God, this guy who was a sub on RNG last year was sitting under crying, coming in, having some spectacular games, especially on the Assassins this year. Great to see from Yukai. And heck, we saw what Fofo did in game 1, right? If you can shut him down, that is phenomenal. We're going to go straight in to the previous collapse onto Zika, though. I mean, they're behind him. You're running Gwen, so you're not running Flash. You're gonna get kited out and bursted out. As we see, though, Yukai able to come in, get on top of Breathe. They try to lock him down, though, with the Orianna ultimate. Aren't able to do so. Weiwei then trying to get away. Does bring Yukai further away from Fofo, but comes back. And Fofo looks for retribution in the 1v1. Does hit the first QW, but some really nice dodging and sidestepping coming out from Yukai, hitting those Qs. Stacks up the Conqueror, forces out the Flash, and then ease back in to be able to finish off that kill.
Gets the kill, and not only that, levels up. His level up literally gave him enough extra HP so he can save himself, but might not be enough here as Breathe will go in. There's going to be the Slicing Maelstrom as they fake down Shun. Now you're going to be in a little bit of trouble, Yukai. You can get yourself out. Breathe will got taken down, but not before they do trade it all back. Zika's just a little bit too far back as Lucas goes in, finds a great dredge line, but there's Uzi trying to turn this one back onto the Zerian, takes her down. Lucas with nowhere to go and no family to help him will be taken down as Uzi takes over this team fight. It's going to be the full ace, and just like that, BLG are back in the driver's seat.
That was an amazing flash coming out from Uzi to be able to finish off the rest of those kills, chase them down with his Get Excited. Now BLG gonna be able to pick up their first Dragon of the game, get some more standing gold off of the map with this turret. And things are looking close. It's been an extremely close series through and through, each game, back and forth. We saw BLG almost able to throw it last game. They're sitting pretty comfortably with the 3K gold lead right now. We need to hope that that doesn't happen again.
We'll have to wait and see, but have a look at this one here. Because again, this is just IG getting caught out, and the Kennen, like we mentioned in draft, is so good against these champions that want to just be on top of your face.
Yeah, I mean, great. And Sika wasn't even here, as we saw off to the side. And then here's where Uzi's going to start to go in, just hiding around the team fight. He's going to actually Gale Force in, followed by the Flash to dodge out on some of the damage. And he's able to get excited, finish off Lucas, while Fofo and Crisp off on the side, buying him more time.
Again, I know we talked about a lot with the Cloud Soul, not the most ideal for people. This is great for someone like Breathe or Weiwei on the Hecarim and the Kennen, because it does so much for your team comp, being able to just pick up extra little bits like that to get your, your set up, as we can see, myself as IG feeling aggressive, 5-man strong on this top side, but I have the turret taken down, so this is a bit risky here from IG.
We need to remember, though, Fofo's not here. Fofo's TP still isn't up yet, so he's having to make his way over.
Oh, Yukai's looking for the solo bolo, and he will get it. The perfect execution, but now the real fight can ensue. It's now a 3v3 in this mid lane as Shun tries to take down Crisp, and he will get him. Great hook from Lucas, but the resets are in. Uzi goes a little bit too far forward, though, and should be falling down. Eventually taken out by Yukai. It was so close yet so far. I don't think they're going to be able to get the Baron, but again, this match is so tit for tat, Lyric.
I mean, think about it. IG just won a 3v4 in the jungle because they committed 2-man strong to trying to pick off Breathe. Sure, it was a solo kill coming out from Yukai, but they had 2 members up towards the top half of the map. IG doing a nice turn around the mid lane, and we're going to see here how it starts. It's actually BLG being the ones to aggress, noticing that they have 4 members here, but Weiwei, just like last game, going in too far, gets bursted out by On and Shun. They're able to keep following forward, taking Chris down. Nice W by On to be able to secure that one with the added range coming out. And then Uzi, feeling himself a little bit, trying to go in. Buys enough time for both Zika and Uakai to collapse and guarantee the fight win for IG.
This game, man, this series, I've had to have 2 cups of tea to keep my voice going right now.
It's almost 8 a.m. Machine. It's almost 8 a.m.
What are you talking about? It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Get yourself to Ireland, boy. We get you on the proper time zone, but this is now becoming a much more difficult game for BLG, much more difficult series for BLG than they probably anticipated. Now, with a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra pressure, they're looking to try and pressure this Baron. It is on top of Vision, so I imagine this will just be
TP
a
play?
very... Yeah, they got the TP, but they can just back away. They don't have to commit to this. Double TP.
No. BLG can just collapse now.
Yeah, this is actually a bit of a pincer or a collapse. Either one will do. Yukai goes in because he can be the distraction. There's the onslaught of shadows coming out as Yukai slicing Maelstrom onto 4, and that's going to be huge for the side of BLG. Breathe, he goes down, but he did his job. They trade it back. It could have been so much worse. BLG will trade it 1-for-1. Both top laners going down.
Yeah, both top laners just creating a lot of space, right? Zika forcing Fofo's flash out. He's dealing with 3 members. You highlighted Breed's ultimate onto multiple members. Both top laners do go down for their efforts, but I feel like for both teams, it could have been much worse, right? Had they not had the wards to be able to notice the TP, I mean, that could have been rough for BLG on the Baron. And for IG, I mean, you could have been pincered. So Uakai and Zika going in strong. They're going to instantly get on top of this back line. We're going to see Zika follow in here, forces out the flash from Fofo. But then that slicing Maelstrom from Breed is absolutely massive. On, though, over the wall, able to stay a safe distance away. And both top laners kind of get traded for trying to buy space and buy time for their team.
This game is... This honestly feels like Uakai is just stepping up and saying, hey, Fofo, you were good, but I am better. Because he has just been on point with this Akali. Has gone with the Demonic Embrace after his Rocket Belt, even has the Verdant Barrier and the Stopwatch now in his inventory. 50 seconds till Dragon spawns, so let's have a quick look at the items going down. Shadow Flame now for Breed. Important to notice he does not have Flash anymore, neither does Uakai or On for the moment. So there's a couple of key summoners not available, so we'll see now if IG actually want to fight this or if they'll just leave it and go for the next.
Yeah, for IG, I mean, Stopwatch up, your AD carry and mid laner don't have flash, so could be a bit rough. Uzi on the opposite side does have his flash up as well as the Gale Force, so can be a little bit annoying to get on top of him. But IG right now are posturing like they want to take the fight.
They are indeed posturing. We need to keep an eye on Fofo. That shockwave could be absolutely massive. Yukai really trying to get on top of Breathe right now. Knows that he can just kill him and take him out, but the rest of BLG have found Yukai. He's in a lot of trouble. The slicing Maelstrom shall keep him down. He's got no shroud, and he's got to go straight into stasis. There's the box to keep them all going as Uzi now over the wall is going to be the focus of Zika as Deke tries to get on top of him. He's separated from the fight. Is Akali still alive? I thought for sure they were dead, but no, it's still going to be going forward. Shun not quite able to take down Breed. Eventually will, but that's your jungler for the top laner. Not really the word trade, and that means that that's going to be Dragon for BLG. Does Uzi want more? No, he thinks the better of it.
I honestly can't believe that IG came out with so few casualties, because IG kind of just ran in one by one to... well, first of all, it was Uakai getting caught out, but my god, BLG win the fight. BLG pick up a dragon. Might be a 1-for-1, but that's a win. I can't wait for the replay for that one, because that one was...
I want to just see how Uakai gets out, because he's on nothing when he goes into stasis.
Yeah. So Uakai originally gets caught out, right? Commits with the ultimate, and then with the E does go into stasis. But this is where it starts to get really weird, in my opinion, because it's like, okay, Zika now jumps in. He's between multiple members. You think he's going to go down. Blast Plant comes over. Now Shun's in the middle of the fray. And still, none of these IG members are going down. Uzi, the big damage dealer right now, is on the opposite side of the wall, so it does allow for Shun to get more agency, pick up one of these skills before he does go down.
Like you said, well, gonna start off with Dragon. You're on a ward, buddy, and they might honestly bide their time. Zika already taken a fair chunk of damage. Not really ideal for the side of IG, but I think they're just gonna back away in a second now. No, they're committed to this. They want to try and force this.
Yeah, right now, 27 kills on the board. I am ready for more. We got up to 60, maybe 60 plus last game.
62, I believe, was the end scorecard, if you will, for the last game. And We are definitely on track to kind of meet that right now as we hit the 27 kills at 27 minutes, and the gold lead is basically negligible. It's nothing apart from the 2 dragons, and even then I would say that both teams are happy with the dragons they have. I will say Weiwei probably more happy because 2 cloud dragons definitely gives you an extra little bit of punch off of your passive movement speed. And we come back into reality. We got 3 items onto the Jinx, 3 half items onto the Zeri. You've got the Nashor's 2 finished up now for Zika, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage. And looking at the mid laners, you've got the Banshees alongside that Seraph's Embrace for Fofo, so that's going to be, again, another point of pressure. This shockwave is getting bigger and bigger, and these are very squishy people on the side of IG.
Yeah, like you highlighted, a lot of the key items coming out, right? The Runons and Hydra picked up for Aunt, who's going to be not only able to shred front line over time, but also easier access on the back line with those bolts in the cleave. Demonic Embrace has been built for a while for Yukai, but still a lot of max HP coming out on the side of BLG that he might have to worry about. Right now, after the almost Baron bait that we saw, we do see IG trying to commit more to playing side lanes. You do have a Gwen and a Kali versus an Orianna on the opposite side, so has been one of the areas we haven't really touched on where IG can get pressure. Trying to pull Fofo out, he isn't going to feel comfortable pushing out too aggressively on the Orianna, so typically, if he's not answering waves by his turret, someone on the side of BLG will need to hover.
I like the adaptation we're seeing from Uzi as well. Picked up the Hex Drinker saying, look, I'm going to get jumped on by the Gwen and the Akali. I need to make sure I have some kind of survivability should Chris be in the vicinity. And it looks like in 2 minutes time, we might have ourselves a big old team fight because this is going to be full summoners available for everybody. Everyone's going off, picking up the waves, getting as much gold as they possibly can, and hitting as much critical mass as possible. As we can see now, IG just clearing out the vision. It's kind of hard with the Zeri at her point now. She will just proc Baron accidentally when clearing some of those waves. But this is starting to get to a big moment in this game, in this series.
And I wonder when that big moment will come, right? Because we are in Cloud, like, it will be a Cloud Soul that comes out for either team, both teams sitting on 2 dragons right now. And you could tell that IG are a little bit... maybe antsy's the word. Like IG want to make something happen, right?
Anxious.
They were baiting Baron, yeah, anxious, looking for picks together. On the opposite side, though, we've seen Weiwei is more than willing to put himself in harm's danger for picks that shouldn't work out. I think for BLG, they're the ones who are fine in this map state of like, hey, we just pick up our camps, we can pick up the waves coming into us, just keep getting more gold onto the Orianna and the Jinx, get closer to some more of those defensive item components, as you highlighted, the Hex Drinker now being finished for Uzi, now being the Ma. So we'll have less to worry about with Yukai, though. Yukai with the Zanyas, so going to consistently be able to buy time in each of these team fights.
Mob Mortius for Uzi is going to be answered by On, who picks himself up a Wit's End. So less defense, more offense as such. This is kind of more the more offensively tailored defensive items, as we like to call
also, has the movement speed. A lot of Zeri's build, like her items, the big selling
Hearthstone
point is the movement speed that you are getting from your items. Just being able to kite around those team fights, dance around, skirt around, get off as much of your damage as possible.
Well, 10 seconds till Dragon spawns. IG are going to be thinking about it. They've got Fofo on the top side, but he has TP. Now, do you want to try and maybe make a move for this? You can see there, Weiwei trotting up, getting up some speed. Is Zika going to be spotted out here on the top side? So now they know where the Zika is. You can still have the Kali down this bot side as Yukai keeps pressuring back. Neither team really interested in Dragon for the moment. It's all about that Baron, and it has been started, Lyric.
Yeah, we know, like you said, Akali does have the TP, did force a wave in, so putting some pressure on the side of BLG. Shun trying to wrap around for a flank, but it looks like Breathe looking for a bit of the same thing by putting wards down.
Shun has found himself something there as Yukai gets himself onto the backside. They're going to try and get the hook out. Beautiful hook from Chris. Forces Yukai to go into stasis straight away. And there's the slicing maelstrom. It's found Zeri, but the Jinx is dead because the Gwen and the Akali have found her. And now it's a fight on 2 fronts. Look at this. Get on your face. Come from the side of IG, and they get the result they wanted. Triple kill there for Zika.
And I feel like we've seen this last game. 3 for 2 on the side of IG. IG instantly starting up the Baron.
This is dangerous, though. Breathe is still here. Breathe will do so much damage. They're trying to bait him in, though, just a little bit, because here comes Yukai. He's going to go in with the static surge, but he's going to go down. That's going to be a delayed quadra now, but Weiwei is still here. Weiwei still has smite. Can Weiwei find a way back into the Baron pit?
Eyeball up for flipping this. Let's flip this IG. Uakai trying to zone him away. It looks like they might just give it. Looks like Weiwei just going to commit to trying to take the dragon instead. No flips today. Nice job by Uakai to zone him away. Uakai coming out with 34% of his team's damage. On an Akali, on an Assassin, typically this class of champion does deal less damage than things like 80 carries and whatnot. So great performance by him all around. We're going to go straight into the replay. Shun finding the knockback onto Uzi, but Crisp so clutch with that hook. We're going to see top laners do so much though, because Breathe finds the opportunity to get onto Zarya on the opposite side, but Zika in the top half of this fight, look at the ultimate coming through, just completely deletes Uzi, getting damage down onto Fofo at the same time. We see Nautilus falling in the back. Like, this was a team fight just completely dominated by the top laners.
And I will say, it's a bit unfortunate. I believe Uzi flashed away from Weiwei's on some shot. So that was a little bit of an unfortunate one there. Didn't quite know where everything was coming from, so it might have just been slight reaction. But Baron goes over to IG. They've now got themselves a 4,000 gold lead. They're going to be able to take down all of these standing outer turrets. BLG not to be outdone just yet, though. Have got themselves up on the soul point, and that's going to be triple Cloud Drake. So again, not bad on the L movement speed there. Of course, it does help with resisting on the slows. So small little wins you have to take, but this game is getting harder and harder for BLG. They've decided they wanted to try and feed Uzi. Again, not a bad idea, but when you get so many champions that can just jump on top of you, can be on top of you at all times, it becomes nigh impossible to play like this.
And I'll just keep going with the fact that this IG squad is young. It is mostly full of rookies and inexperienced players who have not been playing for too long. Again, Zika just coming in the other day, completely outperforming Breathe in this series so far, who has had a bit of a rough series overall.
Has had a pretty rough one at that. We are going to see Uzi cleaning up the mid lane as all outer turrets are now down for BLG. Again, 6,000 gold lead coming in there for IG, and this is probably the best moment they've been in either of the games. They're really looking strong, really to make their mark. And again, we talk about why this is such a big moment for either of these teams. This win here brings IG to 3-5, which basically puts them on the same amount of one win away from BLG in the standings. That could be massive come the end of the split. And with the IG base siege going very, very well, there's not really a lot that BLG can do.
Yeah, you know, BLG do have pretty decent wave clears, so they are able to take down these waves over time, but look in the bottom lane. It is Uakai putting up so much pressure for BLG to need to respond to. Only have 30 seconds left on this Baron, so I don't expect IG to get too much more from this push, but still nice bit of gold injection for them now, sitting 6K gold up.
6K up and still thriving right now. It is going to be on to Uzi and, of course, Fofo to maybe make something happen. With Banshee's Veil's coming up, you've got Zonya's as well. It becomes very difficult to try and catch out someone like Uakai. He's got a lot of defense available to him as they keep pushing in. Baron buff just about to despawn here, so it's not going to mean much else, but they crack open in top as well, as Breathe just couldn't really deal with it. They're going to try and maybe turn this one around. As I say that, they get the needlework, I believe. Yeah, they got it out of Zika, but that's going to guarantee the inhibitor. As I say that, maybe it's not, because maybe they're going to go for a full engage. There's the onslaught of shadows coming out as Uakai tries to jump in on the backside. Uzi takes away the dark passage, but they jump straight on the Fofo. He's now dead. They're going to try and make this work with the slicing maelstrom, but the president is down, and IG have done it. IG have ruined the party. They've taken the cake and shoved it on the ground. Triple kill for On as IG get the ace. They've all 5 members strong, and IG win the series 2-1.
This was supposed to be Uzi's day, Uzi debuting, but IG come out, this young squad, they take it away from him. Great performances from Shun, great performances from Uakai in this one. Zika, as we've been highlighting every week, man, what a great feeling it must be for IG. And for BLG, right, a bit of soul searching, a bit of question. Sure, Uzi's had a long break, you know, that there should definitely be some slack cut to him, but his name, his legacy, there's so much to live up to. Dethroned by a bunch of rookies.
Yeah,
Let's
think
go.
That's the way, yeah, it's got to be a big win for IG as well. We talked about how they were looking in terms of the standings. This now brings them at the halfway point of their split to 3-5. And you look at some of the ways that, you know, they've already gotten rid of LNG, RNG, they've already V5 in their back mirror. They're, you know, they play EDG this weekend, I believe, but these are big moments for them, and getting these kind of scalps are just adding to the fact that you should be in playoffs.
Yeah, and IG was one of the teams that I put a lot of faith in early on. I can't remember where I had them in my like pre-split power ranking, but I remember it was quite high. They looked good at the start of the split, started to like falter off a little bit after a couple series, but after bringing in Zika, they definitely look reinvigorated. I think Shun has looked pretty decent the whole split, definitely has been the standout on the team in my mind. It makes sense why they kept Lucas on from last year with the amount of potential that he's shown. So for IG, it's great to see them bring it together. Again, this was a team for so long that was defined by its veteran players. For them to just promote a bunch of their rookies, to bring in rookies from some outside teams like in the top lane with Zika. And it's nice to see them, again, drafting better, having a better idea of how they want to play. Even if the plays aren't always the best in their throws, it's like you can empathize and understand what they were trying to do, which is more than I could say than the previous iteration of IG.
I mean, that's the big thing. That's the big difference. If you're an IG fan, you can be excited about this roster. They've taken the pieces that work and they've moved them together. They've said, right, this works, that works, this piece works with that. And honestly, massive props to Uakai in this particular series. I felt like he really stepped up because, like we mentioned during this game too, Fofo was a top 3, top 4 mid laner in the league last year. And Uakai just looking so clean on this Akali.
This guy was the sub for Cryan. Like, just remember the public sentiment around Cryan's play. Uakai was under him. Comes in strong as a starter of this IG roster, and it is looking phenomenal. So, for IG, like, the jitters are there, right? Uzi debuted, a young squad defeating them after the fact that IG have been kind of struggling. I think there's definitely some magic in the air. Maybe getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I mean, at least IG show that they're a team that is a contender, especially a contender for a playoff spot. And I remember in an earlier interview, I believe it was by Shun, he said that is their first goal. Their first step would be playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And look, regardless of Uzi coming in, regardless of how, this team looks like, this was a super roster. This was a group of players that we recommended, dark horses maybe for the championship. And they look rough. They don't look like they're on the same page. And look, at the start of the season, that's fine. We're coming up to halfway. We are nearly past the halfway point of the split. And these issues aren't looking like they're going away anytime soon.
Yeah, they kind of, again, where we have this like rank of teams of like LNG, Weibo, V5, RNG, EDG that I think are like solidly, I don't expect them to drop down. BLG is kind of in the same tier as JDG to me, where it's like they're a question mark. It could really go any way. I think like they have the talent, but we haven't seen it exactly be able to fit together as perfectly as possible. And it goes to a point that, again, Dagda, I remember pointing out to all of us, said Uzi's never been successful on a team other than RNG. He just has not been able to make it work, whether it was like his time on OMG or other orgs, has not been able to pull it together. So hopefully BLG can be a different story. I think Uzi had solid performances today. Maybe a little bit of rust, but overall solid. Fofo had one really good game, so the pieces are there. I think you go back to being calm, chilling, and just fun in your jungle. You were way too hypey today. But so are we. So how can I criticize?
I think we were all there. We were all very excited for the debut. But look, if you're new here, you're wondering, oh my God, Uzi washed, whatever. No, Uzi has always domestically been very hot or cold. He hasn't been the domestic dominance that we used to see. Like, internationally is always where Uzi has shined the brightest as such. So don't be too discouraged. I would love to see more Uzi. I still think that in terms of having got a very small sample size between Uzi and Doggo, I don't see a huge difference between the two. I see a lot more of a priority in bot lane when Uzi's playing for BLG. But outside of that, in terms of how the skill level of the two players, it's kind of both sides of the same coin for me. So we might see more Uzi, we might see more Doggo. It might just be straight up a flex like we saw from SKT from 2017, where they had EasyHoon in mid lane. They might just swap him out with Faker to get different styles.
It's one of those things where I think for AD carry that's much harder in terms of like styles, because unless you have someone who plays mages, which is pretty cool, right? Like back when Bwipo was like flexing to bot for Fnatic.
Gadgets for Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, I think like it's gonna be hard for people to hear, especially if they just watched this whole series and saw Doggo in game 1. But I agree, like doesn't seem like there's too huge of a difference. Hard to say though. We've seen literally 2 games of Uzi playing the LPL. We're definitely gonna need to see more. So hopefully BLG give him that time. But again, back over to the side of IG, which we will have an interview for. We didn't have an interview for the first series because it was in Suzhou. This one we will have. I'm kind of interested to hear their take on again, what it's like for them playing against Uzi, what it's like for them to pick up this win, and maybe more on what their goals are for the split. Like, sure, we know playoffs, but I wonder how confident or how high IG feel like they can go.
Yeah, that's it. Like they're right at the precipice of playoffs right now. 3-5, just on 11th. They're only down basically because of that loss that Top Esports have yet to play into. So still seeing where they kind of land themselves in. And yeah, I think I'm very impressed with this team because every single time IG step out onto the stage, every single time we see them on the Rift, I feel like they're getting better. I feel like they're leveling up each and every time. And yes, it wasn't the cleanest of games, but we're gonna see how this team ends up developing. As we're gonna send it over to Christina, who's sitting back with the victorious Zika after a 2-1 victory.
Hello everyone, welcome to the post-game interview in Shanghai studio. This is Christina. Now we're joined by Zika, the top liner from Invictus Gaming. Hello Zika, congratulations on your reign. First, I want to touch on the top Raven. Why was that pick? 好的，各位，欢迎来到我们英语流的赛后采访。我们邀请到的是紫卡选手来接受采访。首先要想问一下，为什么会在第一局选出瑞文上单呢？
因为瑞文打格温可以给打野创造很大的抓他的机会吧。
Because I think the Raven really can create a lot of chance for the jungler to gank into Gwen. Nextly, I want to touch on the Veigar because it has been 2036 days. We saw the Veigar last time on the LPL stage. So what was your team's reaction when you saw this champion has been locked down? 接下来想要问一下关于小法的这个选择，因为我们已经是有2360天。2036天没有在 LPL 赛场上见到他了，想问一下，当时你们队内当看到这个英雄被选下的时候，队内的反应是什么呢？
就小法很容易配合打野打闪现，我们要小心一点。
I think we need to be watch alert and be careful because Veigar is so easy to coordinate it with jungle to force a flash. Nextly, I want to touch on what kind of adjustment did you make after losing game 2? 想问一下，在第二局失利之后，你们做了哪些方面的调整呢？
就我们打到后面不要着急，就慢慢打，慢慢看，等对面给机会吧。
We think we just need to be don't need to be done too hasty, and we just to take things slowly to waiting for our eminent opponent to provide a chance to reverse sweep. Nextly, I want to touch on your personal goal because you mentioned that the strength of LPL is much higher than LDL. So, what's your personal goal after coming into LPL stage? 最后一个问题呢，想要问一下我们的紫卡选手，在此前呢也是提及过，你认为 LPL 的强度可能要比 LD 要大非常多，所以来到 LPL 之后，你个人的目标是什么呢？
成为一个厉害的上单吧。
I just want to be a strong top leader. By the way, I was wondering who is the main shot caller of your team right now, especially in today's best of three. Three of today's game are so back and forth and so intense. 最后呢，也想顺便问一下，今天的3局比赛都是非常的有来有回，非常激烈。那么在这么多的小规模团战和一些 gank，还有围绕着中立资源的团战当中，谁是你们队伍的主指挥呢？
就我们打野薰衣选手吧。
Actually, our jungler Xun is our main shot caller. Thank you so much for joining me. 让我们再次感谢紫卡选手来到赛后采访。Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Christina and Zika. Always great insight to get from the players.